So how does the Facebook announcements affect our ManyChat broadcast? Well, I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to show you that now. So let's get rocking and rolling here. We're going to talk about some of the new news that came out from the F8 conference in the end of last month, beginning of this month. Facebook has announced that the process of broadcasting will be going away. And so they are not, what I've heard is they may be eliminating the broadcast API, pushing everything through the send receive API, and you need to have subscription messaging and or use tags to send these messages outside the 24-hour limit. So we'll go through some of the things that I know and the things that I've heard, how this is all going to work. Now, some of the things are going to be implemented by ManyChat to help us out with this. As of end of last year, the subscription messaging was going to take place by the end of the year, and then it got postponed from Facebook. And during that time, ManyChat was working to get the tag process in place and those types of things. So there is some of the things that they actually have worked on, and they'll be completing those and giving us an opportunity to assign tags and stuff to messages that will be sent out outside of the 24-hour. Also, what I've heard is ManyChat is going to look to bring in these sponsored messages and be able to create those right in ManyChat. And we're going to cover that as well, some sponsored messages and what those kind of look like and those types of things. So broadcast. I'm not sure as far as the auto posting, where that would be going. That may be going away because I'm assuming they use the broadcast API. We'll have to address that later. If you do use that, maybe post a question down below and I'll research that and get back to you. So we're going to go to, and I'll put links to these pages in the description down below. So Messenger Platform Policy Overview. So we're going to kind of skip through some of this. Basically, there's 3 ways to communicate with your subscribers. And we'll scroll down to the bottom here. They got a little box here that shows them all. It's standard messaging. Messages can be sent during a 24-hour window that reset anytime the person sends a message to the business. Basically, they interact. They push a button, they type in something they send back to you. One additional bonus message may be sent outside the 24-hour window to follow up on the conversation. So that is a way that most of our messages are communicating within that 24-hour window. Businesses may also use sponsored messages to send a message to a person outside the 24-hour window if the person has not blocked the business. So we're going to talk about that as far as sponsored messaging. But we have standard messaging. We have subscription messaging. Now, the subscription messaging is something that you need to apply for. And I suggest as many people if you fit in these 3 categories, we're going to cover that. Fit in those 3 categories, definitely apply. Because it gives you the ability to send messages daily, weekly, outside the 24-hour window. They do have to be non-promotional, the first message. The second, basically what can happen is you send them first message, non-promotional, they interact with it, and we'll cover this a little bit, then you can actually send a promo message once they interact with that subscription message. So it opens up a great opportunity for you. That's why I say is apply for the subscription messaging any way you can. to fit in these three categories. We'll cover that. And then you have sponsored messaging. Now, those are paid ads, and you set them up through the Facebook Ads Manager, and they target your audience, your subscribers. What I would suggest is, because there's a little disconnect between Messenger and Facebook, particularly Facebook Ads Manager and the ad platform, and then Facebook Messenger. And what I mean is, you may have, let's say, 100 subscribers that are active and they're subscribed, they're not unsubscribed in ManyChat. But you may have 150 in the Facebook ads platform as being somebody that's communicated with you on Messenger. Now, those may include unsubscribes and other ones not blocked, because if you're blocked, they're not going to get the sponsored, as I indicated down here, block the business. So there's a disconnect. So you just definitely have to make sure when you're running sponsored messages that you're using maybe a custom audience, either to include or only send them to a custom audience that you know are your subscribers, the 100, like in my example, or you have a custom audience that has the people to exclude from the sponsored messaging, be the other 50. Either way, then you'll get true, but be very careful on when you're doing sponsored messages, because they could go to the people that decided to opt out and don't want to hear from you again. And now all of a sudden you're sending them a message. Don't want to do that. So let's go through these individually. So standard messaging, basically you're following is an overview of the policy, blah, blah, blah. Basically, standard messaging uses the 24-hour messaging window. And so, as it says, businesses and developers use the Send API, have up 24 hours to respond to a message sent by a person in Messenger when using standard messaging. A bot may also send one additional message after the 24-hour limit, time limit has expired. 24-hour limit is refreshed every time a person responds to the business through one of the eligible actions listed in the Messenger conversation entry points, and that's listed right up here. And you can read through those. Basically, if they interact with it, you can contact them. So, and then usage guidelines for the standard messaging. The guidelines apply to the usage of the Send and Receive API. As I indicated, that's one of the APIs that stay in, and they're going to use it for all the messaging now based on the tags and stuff. And so that's the standard messaging, and that's what we use every day. And even when you run an ad and you send a message, when in Messenger, you get them in there and you send a message, that's a standard message. And then they interact and you stay within that standard message realm communicating. So now we'll get to subscription messaging. Now, that is something that obviously is replacing, or they're presenting to use that so they can kind of monitor what's getting sent. Unfortunately, too many marketers, as usual, ruined a good thing and sent spam. And I think we still get spam, and some of the influencers do this, and they bend the rules. And I don't quite understand why they do that, but Facebook has decided to implement some rules that we need to follow now, come July 31st, 2019. So you can read here, it's basically telling you that the page level subscription messaging feature requirement. And so subscription messaging is allowed for specific use cases and gives a business or developer the ability to send a regular content to a person in Messenger. User may opt out of receiving subscription messaging from the page at any time. And so the subscription messaging, here's the eligible use cases. If you send out any news, and this is pretty broad as far as applications under the news category. I mean, if you're sending any information, providing any information, what does it say? Integrated primary purpose is to inform people about recent or important events, or provide information categories such as sports, finance, business, real estate, weather, traffic, politics, government, nonprofit organizations, religion, celebrities, entertainment. So, I mean, you could send them the daily weather. Real estate, you could send them a weekly update of the market or a monthly update of the market. Religion, you could send them a daily Bible verse. Sports, you could send, hey, here's a recap of the game last night, that type of thing. Or did you know that there's a game tonight? So I think there's many applications. So if you fall into any of these categories, I'd say definitely subscribe. What I would suggest is what you want to do is make sure that whatever you send in to apply for subscription messaging is non-promotional. All right. Make sure that message is non-promotional. It's got a button or something that they can interact. And then once they interact, then you can send promotional. We're going to kind of cover the usage, some of the things there. Let's look at the other categories. Productivity. Integrates, prime purpose to enable people to manage their personal productivity with tasks such as managing calendar events, receiving reminders, and paying bills. This can be webinar updates, webinar reminders that a webinar is coming up, because that's productivity. So anything, you got to think outside the box a little bit and say, hey, how does my situation fit into these three categories? And if it does, and then just make sure that you formulate that message that's going out in the first. And that's all you have to send in is you have to send in, what would you send on a daily or weekly or monthly or whatever your updates or your subscription message is going to be. What is that first message? And make sure it's non-promotional. And there's a very good chance you're going to get approved. The third category is personal trackers. Personal trackers falls into the categories of fitness, health, wellness, and finance. So even there is some cross in finance there. So I think, Facebook is definitely really working with you to try to make sure that you can do this. And so that is the three categories that we're going to cover. Now, usage guidelines, follow guidelines apply to using the Send an API. So it talks about subscription messaging. It tells you, hey, you can't send this kind of message. It's too promotional. And so we're going to kind of look at this. Is subscription messaging content may be sent outside of the 24-hour messaging window that applies to standard messaging. Subscription messages will be limited functionality compared to standard messages. Subscription messages cannot contain promotional content. Subscription messaging is only intended for the specific use cases, as you indicate up here, what you're applying for. And if the user responds to subscription messaging via the eligible action, the conversation will be considered standard messaging and must comply with standard messaging policies. And there's the key. That is indicating that, hey, once they interact with that first message, you open up the window for the 24+1, meaning that you can send them a promotional message. All right. So that is the great thing about subscription messaging, actually, is now, because we found out, I had talked with Mackenzie had talked with Mikhail, the CEO of ManyChat. I had messaged him as well, the same questions, and he came back, and I guess he did check with a Facebook, high up Facebook person and Messenger, and said, yep, you can respond with a promotional once they interact with the subscription message. So just as I indicated, when you send approval in or you apply, make sure that you are getting or just making it very non-promotional or anything like that, and send that very generic. Don't elaborate on it or anything like that. Make it very specific, and you should get approved. And then it goes through here. It tells you how to apply. So you could go to this page, and you can just go to page settings, messenger platform, and then under subscription messaging, that's where you would apply. All right. Sponsored messages. Now, these are paid messages, and I have not run any, but the other day, actually yesterday, I got one I got one sent to me. So I could kind of see how they work. And sponsored messages is a form of paid advertising via the Facebook marketing API. And So let's see, let's just read this. Sponsored messages are specifically for the purpose of sending paid messages that are outside the 24-hour standard messaging window and or not allowed under subscription messaging due to containing content that is promotional in nature. So there's the option that you can do is the standard, the sponsored messaging, you can send promotion right away because you're paying for it. And the interesting thing is I wasn't sure where it all showed up and stuff, but I can show you it's right here. Here's somebody that I had subscribed to the other day. I was watching, it's on ketones or keto diet. Well, all of a sudden yesterday morning, I got a sponsored message. And there it is. It's some verbiage, it's a picture, and then there's a button to interact with. So the sponsored messages end up as ads, whereas, you do a sponsored ad for Messenger, it just shows up within the accounts, and then all of a sudden it shows up, let's say on your phone, you're scrolling through all your accounts, all of a sudden there's an ad right there. That's a sponsored ad for Messenger. These are sponsored messages, and they end up right in the business account, so you can see it. So that's pretty cool. They show up right there, just like you're sending a message otherwise, except you have to pay to get them in. All right. So let's go back here. So that's what sponsored messages are, and we kind of covered this. And so we're going to cover one last thing is, let's say you don't get approved for subscription messaging. And so now you can't send those out. Well, there is another way. It's called message tags. And I'll put a link to this. And basically it says right here, a message tag. I think this link goes to the same place. Let's see if it does. I think it does. Yep. All right. So there's going to be a link right here that you could go there. And here's the message tags. So the message tags allow you to send messages outside of the 24-hour window. So what it is that you didn't get approved for sponsored or subscription messaging, so you still want to send messages outside the 24-hour window. Well, you still can. You just have to follow these tags. And please note that these message tags are send non-promotional content. So again, you can't send promotional content. It's just another way to send messages outside the 24+1. And you could just scan through these message tags. What's going to happen is ManyChat is building this into the system. So as I indicated with the sponsored messages, go back here. So sponsored messages, they will be building something, at least what we've heard is building something within the ManyChat system so that you may not stumble. As I indicated, it doesn't match. The Facebook ad platform doesn't match Facebook Messenger as far as your subscribers and unsubscribed people. So you got to be very careful when you're sending subscription or sponsored messages out. But the tags allow you to send messages that are non-promotional outside of 24+1, outside of the subscription messaging. And so you could kind of look at it and you could just kind of read what might fit. And again, ManyChat is going to be building this in so that you can pick the tag based on what you're sending out. So it's going to be very easy. So, in a nutshell, and you can go through these and look at them and stuff and see if there's any of them that fit to what you're doing. But, it's not, the sky's not falling or anything like that. We need to adjust based on how Facebook, they want to make the Messenger platform just user-friendly, not obnoxious. And like I said earlier, unfortunately, some marketers took advantage of the system and kind of ruined it for everybody. And Facebook just wants to make sure that we stay within. And I think they've given us some great options. Now that I've found out the sponsored message, I haven't run any of those, but now I see it live that came into my account for that doctor. It worked out pretty well. So I think that's, there's some good things, I think, and they're going to make this platform more stable and not get spam. And then people are going to read our messages. Otherwise, it would end up like email, and they would have never read our messages anymore, and all the open rates and all that stuff that we love in Messenger would have went away. So that's it. I think I pretty much covered everything. What I'm probably going to do down the road is do a video just on sponsored messages and show you how to set it up, at least in Ads Manager. And at some point in the future, ManyChat will have that, I believe, right in the product. So if you have any questions, you can post down below. Well, that concludes our video for today on how the announcements from Facebook at the F8 conference affect the ManyChat broadcast. We did do an overview on all the types of messages that Facebook allows us to send, the standard messaging, the subscription messaging, and the sponsored messaging, and how that all plays a role in the new environment that we're going to have. And also, I brought up a few things that our ManyChat is going to implement in their product to help us even greater to follow those rules. I think it's going to create a stronger platform, less spam, and actually be a good thing for all business. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. Happy to answer them. And as always, like the video, share it across the world, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Click the little bell so you do get notification when I upload a new video. Down in the description, I do have links to the pages that I talked about in the video. And I also have a link to a great Facebook group, all like-minded people sharing things. Come on and join us. And as always, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.